Good evening, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. You can tell I'm I'm feeling better. Thank you for your prayers. Yeah, I thought I'd make a video since Monday Night Football does not come on until around 8, and it's 8:21 here in West Michigan. It is November the 20th. The other day when I made a video, I said November the 9th because I was so out of it. But it was the 19th. I made a video yesterday, which was a Sunday morning. And now it is a Monday evening here in West Michigan inside the Hermit Hut. I am sitting in my main study. Yeah, I've always, when we moved into this house 34 years ago, the house was empty, and but what really attracted me to this house was not only the fireplace and the open basement, but there was a study, and this desk was in this room, and the clock up there, you've seen the clock, it's an old clock, was here. The clock was there, this desk was here, and when we first got the house, our stuff was still being come from Houston, Texas by a mover, and we were staying at that time 34 years ago at Carol's parents' house on 14th Street here in Holland. But I would come here. I had a key to the house since we were going to, well, we rented the house to buy it. And I would come here during the day when the house was empty, and I put a chair here, and I would read here when the house was completely empty and just this desk was here. And so yeah, this is kind of like my room. It's really a blessing to have a study. I mean, how many people have studies in their house? Now, I think at one time this room could have been a bedroom, but it has wood. If you look around, you see these kind of wood-like kind of what do you call that? Paneling? I don't know. It looks like a study. Now we have new floors in here. It looks like a study. So and also the desk was here when we moved in here. So it must have been a study. I don't know why they left the desk. It weighs a ton. But anyway, I thought this is a Monday night. I do a Monday reads, and usually in my Monday reads, I just show you what I've been reading since my last video, what I've been reading on Monday. And just talk about books, talk about my diary. I'm a diarist. As you all know, everybody has an occupation or something, some are plumbers, some are professional athletes, some are professional whatever. I always tell people I'm a writer. Then I have to qualify that, saying I'm a diary writer. I don't write professionally. I'm not a freelance writer. I'm not a novelist. I don't have anything published. I'm not a poet. I just write in my diary. But I'm a writer. I've always been writing since I can remember. Well, since I think when I was in high school. And I just like to write, so I'm a writer. I mean, I'm not really anything else. I never really got into a career or a profession. Now, I've said multiple times that I wanted to be a minister of the gospel, but that never happened. But anyway, on my diary, I'm on page 1025 for the year 2023. I already have I put in here, I haven't put December on here, but I have in here December diary. already. I don't have it written on it yet, but December 2023 is going to be yellow. And then I have here, I copied off this review of the novel Doxology by Nell Zink. Yeah, I'm still reading that. I haven't really finished it. I showed you recently in a video I haven't started her last novel, Avalon, but I've been reading her, trying to finish Doxology. So, and then in December, at the end of December, I'll put the December downstairs, and then we'll start. Let's see here. And then we will start January 2024. So yeah, Mondays what have I been reading today? Well, I've been really reading a lot of the New Testament theology by Eckhard, Schnabel. Now he teaches that he is Mary French Rockefeller Distinguished Professor of New Testament at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, which is in Massachusetts. He has written numerous books, including Early Christian Mission, which I showed you, The Trial and Crucifixion of Jesus, Jesus in Jerusalem, and commentaries on Mark, Acts, Romans, and 1 Corinthians. So I've read 161 pages since I got this. I buy New Testament theology. I just thought I'd show you the recent ones. Well, first of all, I'll show you the ones that I have read in the last couple of years. This is one of my favorite ones, is this one, Biblical Theology of the New Testament by Peter Stuhlmacher. This is translated and edited by Daniel P. Bailey, foreword by J.K. Beale. This is really a really great biblical theology of the New Testament. It's worth reading if you're really into biblical theology of the New Testament. And also when I read, I don't know when I read this, but I think this one came out in, I'm just going to show you the ones I've read recently. I've been reading New Testament biblical theology, Old Testament biblical theology, Pauline theology for almost 48 years. This one came out in 2012. I read this one, The New Testament, A Historical and Theological Introduction by David N. Hagner. This I really enjoyed too. I read this one way back then. And then recently, I bought these two. I didn't show that. I got this one on sale by John Goldingay, Biblical Theology, the God of Christian Scriptures. And then I bought In Fullness of Life, Introduction to the Biblical Theology of the Acts and Paul by Richard B. Gaffin Jr. And then I just got this one, Union with the Resurrected Christ, Eschatological New Creation, a New Testament Biblical Theology by J.K. Beale. So yeah, I have that. So I'm always reading this kind of stuff because, you know, what else are you going to read as you wait for the second coming of Christ? Yeah, Beale, I really like Beale. Well, I also got this one recently. I showed you this one too. I just got this dictionary of the New Testament use of the Old Testament edited by J.K. Beale, D.A. Carson, Benjamin J. Glad, and Andrew David Nestle. So I always got plenty to read, my main study. So I've been reading that, really enjoying it. And then I've been reading tonight Thorsten Moore, Sonic Life, a memoir by Thorsten Moore. I put an interview, well, like a Zoom of him giving an interview talking about this book in my Crooked Fingers online diary. Yeah, I've read almost, this thing is, how many pages? Oh, it's about 465 pages, and I've read I'm on page 292. Not really. And what I've been doing is I've been listening to the music. What I did is I copied off the years they put out their albums, and I listened today. They put an album out called Evil, EVOL, in 1986, released May 2nd, 1986. I listened to that one today on my portable CD player. And the next one they put out in 1987, the record was Sister, June 29, 1987. So I've been listening to the music as I've been reading, as they mentioned recording the albums, or as Thorsten Moore mentions the albums here. Right now he's discussing the first album they put out was Bad Moon Rising in 1985, released March 29, 1985. And that's what he's writing about in his memoir right now. It's getting released in United Kingdom and United States. And I would have it over there. I don't know if I could show it to you. Let's see if I can find it. Bad Moon Rising. Yeah. This is Bad Moon Rising. This is the one and then there's Evo over there, which I don't know if I can find that one. Evo. Let me see, Evo. Yeah. This is what I listened to today, Evo. And then there comes Sister. So I've been listening to the music of Sonic Youth as I go through Thorsten Moore's memoir, Sonic Life. I've been really surprised in listening to the music how experimental they were, and how they were so out. They were really on the fringe of music. They weren't really what you would hear on the radio in 1985 or 84 or 83. Maybe you would hear it on like college radio or late at night. But they're very, there's an early picture of them. So yeah, I've been finding Thorsten Moore's Sonic Life, his memoir, very interesting. You know, getting more an understanding of where he's coming at musically and as an artist. He was really an artist. I mean, you know, some people put music out and they're entertainers. I mean, they're basically their music is geared towards the radio. Their music is geared towards a certain audience. Sonic Youth, I would say, was more avant-garde, more underground, more experimental, more exploring all kinds of different sounds, mixing in punk and pop and rock and noise and distortion. And the lyrics are kind of like beat poetry or stream of consciousness. You know, they shouted their lyrics or their words in their songs, and more. It's very interesting listening to their music now as I've been reading this memoir by Thorsten Moore. I have Kim Gordon, who was in the band as you all know the story, in 2011, well, back in the 80s, Kim Gordon and Thorsten Moore and these other, my mind just went blank, started Sonic Youth. I mean, they just kind of formed this group, but then when Thorsten Moore committed adultery and Kim Gordon divorced him after 30 years of marriage, and then the band broke up in 2011. So I've been listening to the albums and the years that they were released. So I'll listen to Sister Tomorrow, which is 1987. And then their big album was in 1988, Daydream Nation, which became really a big album. It was Daydream Nation, I think, was the one that really hit and made them kind of famous. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm a music expert. So I've been listening to Sonic Youth, reading Thorsten Moore. Also today, I got back into reading this afternoon the paper, The Life and Death of the New York Herald Tribune by Richard Klugger. I read this afternoon. You know, this morning my wife and I, we went out to the grocery store. My wife had an appointment to get a COVID shot, and we got home around 11:30, and we had lunch. And after lunch, it was about 1 o'clock, and I decided, I read nonfiction in the afternoons, and so I picked up the paper again, The Life and Death of the New York Herald Tribune by Richard Klugger. Yeah, I've read 317 pages. I'm really enjoying this, and I'll keep reading it. So I was reading that, and then this evening we'll probably watch Monday Night Football, and I'm reading Thorsten Moore, Sonic Life, a memoir. Well, Thorsten Moore wrote his memoir titled Sonic Life, a memoir. So yeah, that's about it. Really enjoying reading the New Testament theology. And my wife and I are going through the Gospel of Matthew in the mornings when we read. And so I got all kinds of books in my study on the Gospel of Matthew that I could show you, but I don't think that you would find it that interesting. So yeah, I liked the Gospels, and a couple of years ago I went through the Gospels, reading that medieval work, The Life of Jesus Christ by Rudolph of Saxony. Those videos were a couple of years ago. And then I was going to get into the Gospel of Matthew in the future, and I never really did. But I kept up here all these commentaries on the Gospel of Matthew, the Reformation commentary on Matthew, and is this whole, is the whole book? I thought, yeah, this is on the whole Gospel. I wasn't sure. So then I got the Gospel of Matthew in the Reformation Commentary series. And then I kept up here the Ancient Commentary series on the Gospel of Matthew, 2 volumes. And then I have another series, Incomplete Commentary on Matthew, Ancient Christian Texts. So I kept these up there thinking I was going to go through the Gospel of Matthew really in depth, a deep dive into the Gospel of Matthew, but I never did. But I still keep up here major commentaries on all the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I do have this modern commentary on the Gospel of Matthew by R.T. France. And then I have another one over here on Matthew. I have this one, the Church's Bible, Matthew, interpreted by early Christian commentators. So yeah, so my wife and I are reading in the mornings. We're going to go through the Gospel of Matthew. We're going to go through the New Testament. I don't know, and so, but I'm just going to basically be reading the New Testament theology on top of everything else I read, the Puritan reprints. You know, I read Hagner's, I read William J. I'm reading that Devout Meditations, a tribute to Bernard Clairvaux. And so there's always enough to read, writing in my diary. I got a book coming in the mail, a novel I ordered that was on the Black Friday sale, Amazon. I got some field notes coming in the mail. I ordered a new set of field notes. Today at the grocery store, I got me some little stickers because I'm always trying to find things I've read, you know, little quotes or little things I want to remember. So finally I got these to stick so I can look for something. Sometimes I'm talking to my wife and I want to share something I've read and I can't find it in the book, so I'm going to start marking places that I want to refer to. So I hope you have a good reading week. I know I'm feeling better. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your concern, your comments. I'm still taking medicine. I'm still recovering. I'm not in full bloom of health, but the Lord gives grace. I haven't mentioned Thanksgiving. I hope you do have a good Thanksgiving. I know sometimes it can be a depressing time of the year. Sometimes it can be hard getting together with family. But I do pray that you do have a good Thanksgiving. We ought to be always giving Thanksgiving for the Lord's great salvation as we come to the time of year when we remember the birth of Christ, the Messiah, the Savior of sinners who came to this world to die for sinners and to secure eternal salvation. It's a good time of year to reflect upon the Gospels, the good news. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you, Monday reads, writing in my diary, reading New Testament theology, reading about Sonic Youth, reading about all kinds of stuff. So I hope you're all well. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your comments. I got a new t-shirt from the Deaf to the World last week. So I'll sign off and pray that you're all well. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching. This is my study. And yeah, nothing much else to report. So I'll sign off until next time. Bye.